Alright, hi there. I moved too fast. Alright, hi there, YouTube. I'm trying to speak a little bit louder because I realized the last couple of videos are kind of soft-spoken. But yeah, this video is all about my surgery. So yeah, I actually had top surgery on January 3rd, 2014. I'll put my arms up here so I can stabilize myself. So yeah, I had it done with Dr. Zinzer in Richmond, Virginia, since I'm from Virginia Beach. It was pretty great. Spent time with family. So my goal, this is how it was supposed to go, because when I tell you this story, like everything in my life, it is exciting unnecessarily. So when I tell you this story, I'm gonna tell you how it was supposed to go, which was like this, and how I read, whoop, like this, and then how it actually went. It was like, and I'm still trying to figure out what in the world just happened. So now you can understand what in the world that my life has been the last like 5 days and why I feel some kind of way. So this is how the whole thing was supposed to go. I was supposed to drive in the car up to Richmond, go to St. Mary's Hospital, be like, hey, what it do, people? They were gonna be like, what's up, Dex? Do some paperwork, go on up in there, pee in a cup, not be pregnant, get naked. Well, I thought I was gonna keep my underwear on. I ain't talk about all that. Anyway, put the little scrubs on, bye to the family, go, be prepped, go in a little thing, count backwards with some sheep, fall asleep, wake up, be like, oh snap, I'm sore, but I'm great because I got a binder on, which means I ain't got no chest. Woo, chill, be there, like, fine, cool, because I'm supposed to get there at 7:30, have surgery at 9, get out at 12:30, leave around like 2 or 3 o'clock, go home, and call it a day. That sounds pretty straightforward. I mean, most of the people's videos I've seen, that's pretty much what happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, you look down, you get all this gauze, and they give you these awesome pills, and you're like, fine, cool, whatever, go home, right? That was not my situation, however, because my life is never as simple as that. So, what happens is that two of my friends come over, Aaron and, well, Vanilla and Riley. They come on over, right? And we chill. I barely sleep that night because I was so doggone excited. I didn't eat past 10 o'clock, and I wasn't just at midnight. Past 10 p.m. I was like, I ain't gonna eat. I'm cool. I'm sitting here. I got like half an hour of sleep. I'm ready to go. I'm waking up. I'm all dressed. I'm like, ooh, ooh, we're gonna do this. You know what I'm saying? All of the instructions to the T. I'm all ready, right? So we leave here at like 5:30 in the morning. We get to Richmond around 7:30. Actually, around like 7-ish. Um, Freezing in the car. I'm sitting between, and I didn't account for the fact that all of us got broad shoulders in the back, so we're all like, what in the world ain't gonna fit in this little car? So we get there, right? I do all the little paperwork, all the little fancy stuff. We get on this escalator with no actual stairs, mind you. It was just like this, going up the thing, and it was for wheelchairs, and we were like, this can't be safe. And so we go in there, and I'm cracking jokes and fun. I talked to like 85 different people, and oh, finally, and this is where it gets weird. So they have this cool little system where they like have like people's numbers. It's almost like being at the DMV almost. It's really exciting. So they give you a person number and it changes color based on what the fuck's going on in the back room. And so you're like, oh snap. And then the runner comes back and forth and says, hey, this is what's going on. Bye. It's all exciting, right? So then the nurse comes out and I'm like, I really have to pee. I've had to pee for like an hour, but I didn't want to pee in case you guys made me pee in a cup. And she's like, well, that's great. So she goes take me out the room, right? She's kind of like high looking the whole time. She goes take me out the room and she kind of finds out. She's like staring at me, like 3 steps outside the door. And my family's already sat down, and she's just like, because my name in the computer came up as my birth name. And I was confused because everything else is my actual name on it, even my insurance company information. So I was like, can you change that? Because I really don't have time for this. And so the lady is like asking me these questions, right? And she's just like, so, I'm just curious, like, do you do you still have a period? And I was just like, nah, no, no, the testosterone took care of that. She's like, really? Really? When was the last time you had one? I was like, June. She's like, did that? And you don't miss it? And I was just like, no, I don't. I'm not supposed to be doing something right now. And she's just, because she was just so out of it. I was like, it's 7 in the morning. Why are you so out of it right now? And so she's asked me all these doggone questions just to say that she needed to give me a pregnancy test before anesthesia to make sure nothing crazy is gonna happen. And I was like, cool. And then she asked me, and I said, yeah, fine, I'll take the test, whatever. She's like, do you want me to take you to the women's restroom or to the men's restroom? I was like, can we just go to the men's restroom, please? Can we just So I go in there and she gives me the cup, I pee in the cup and everything. I give it back to her, and she's just all like in this half-baked phase and goes and disappears. And then another woman like appears. Like it's all women at this point. I didn't see another man in for like an hour, so it was just nothing but women just randomly appearing. She gives me like this stuff, and she's like, "Okay, so I'm gonna let you say bye to your family, and then you gotta change in your clothes, right? Just take all your clothes off, wipe your body down with these pads, one arm, one leg, front and back, and then put the thing on, a special little weird little surgical vest, all this excitement, and some little feet, little socks on your feet, and come on out." And I was like, cool. And then I got in there and I forgot to ask her if I'd take my underwear off. And I was like, you know what? All right, fine. I'll just do it just in case because she said all the clothes. And this little thing was warm. The little cloths were warm. They were like antibacterial. And I was expecting them to be cold for some reason. So I was like, fine, cool. I walk on out. And I was like, was I supposed to take my underwear off? And she's like, oh, wait. How long is your surgery? I was like, about 3.5 hours. She said, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. And she's like, yeah, because they're probably going to put a catheter in you. I'm like, they're going to put a catheter in who? And she's like, in you. And I was like, who? Are you talking about doctor? Because I don't know what. They ain't say nothing about no catheter. I mean, I'm just letting you know. I'm like, so they're gonna do this when I'm asleep, right? And she says, yeah, yeah. I was like, and how they gonna take it out when I'm asleep, right? And she's like, they should. I can't guarantee. She's like, but they usually do. And I was like, uh-huh, all right, as long as they take it out while I'm asleep, we cool. That's fine. So we walk around and we go to the little bedroom, and I go climb into another bed, and some more nurses are staring at me, asking me all these questions, right, and taking my blood, and then so this other lady sitting here asked me these questions about what it's like to be trans, and I was like, all right, it's about to be an interview, and then she she starts asking me, the assumption is if you have the top surgery, you're gonna come back from the bottom. And I was like, oh no, I don't know right now. I'm like, and if I want to pee standing up, they have devices for that, and she was just like, and I was like, oh. Great. So then I'm essentially telling her about the packing devices, packing for just packing, packing for standing to pee, packing for play, the pissing packing pleasure packer pecker, Peter Piper picked some peck. I don't fucking know. So I'm telling her about the piss and pack and play peck, the 3P one, all these different things about how you can stand and pee and you can fucking pee and all those. She was so excited. The bitch is taking notes. I'm like, what is happening? It's not even 8 o'clock right now. I'm so confused. Like, I came in here for surgery. And so the other lady's like, I'm gonna give you your little IV. And so I'm like, oh, here, take my arm. She wraps this thing around the middle. And I was like, my vein is down here. She said, oh, I'm putting it in your hand. And I was like, when did this witchcraft happen? And she was just like, oh, it's just easier. And I could see the vein. I was like, what? And then she shoots me with the lidocaine, and that was the most painful part. And I was like, I don't feel anything anymore. All right, you lucky. And then so the anesthesiologist is gonna come in, and that's gonna be cool. And I was like, all right. And like then the nurse, the anesthetist is gonna come in, and I was like, the nurse, the nest of osteoporosis, and they're like, yes. And I was like, okay. So this woman's asking me all these random questions, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on right now. The guy comes in who was the anesthesiologist. He didn't speak a lot of English. He didn't talk much. He just wanted to make sure he was in the room. He looked at me and was confused. And so he comes in, he looks at me, and he walks back out. And I was like, okay. And he shakes my hand, says like 3 words, and leaves. And then later, this woman who looks like she's from like Soviet Russia but has great English comes up in the room, starts asking me questions, and she's like, I'm the other one. And I was like, you're the nurse and estero the yeah. She's like the nurse anesthetist. I'm still working on that word. I was like, oh, y'all just making that word up. And she's like, no, I'm the one giving you the anesthesia. I'm like, wait, how's the nurse anesthetizing giving the thing, but the guy whose name is anesthesiologist isn't doing this? I don't think I want to know. And so she's like, did they give you stuff for nausea? And I was like, yeah, I have pills for that. She's like, oh, I have something else. And she pulls out a little circle and puts it on the back of my neck. And she said, that'll help with the nausea. I was like, this thing's gonna help with nausea. She's like, yeah, oh, it'll help. It'll release for 3 days. You'll be great. And I was like, okay. And she's like, but I must warn you, the side effects. And I was like, oh, here we go. This is how it always starts. And she's like, so the side effects are like sweating and like, I think a temperature thing, and excessive dry mouth. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool, it's fine, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go home and drink wine and it's knocked down, I don't care, right? So I was like, well, so how am I getting to this other room? She says, oh no, she's like, I'm gonna inject something in your IV. It's gonna calm you down, and we're gonna wheel you out to the OR, and we're gonna get you over there. And she's like, and then we're gonna talk you to you, and you're gonna go to sleep. And I was like, okay, cool, right? Now listen, she told me I was gonna make it to the ER conscious. Remember that. So then I'm waiting, and eventually Dr. Zinzer walks in because he didn't just finished operating on somebody, and that's how he starts his morning with some coffee and operations. And he's walking in because he's all excited. And I was like, oh, god damn it. And he's like, oh, and tape measure and drawing and all this other stuff. And, it hurt because my skin's so thin. And I was like, oh, just get this over with. And then he's like, all right, cool, see you on the other side. And I was like, this nigga is crazy. And so then he disappears. And this is when it got fuzzy because all I remember was the nurse anesthetized and whoever she was appeared. And I was like, hey, we got like 20 minutes left, you know, and what we're gonna do? And she's like, oh yeah, nothing. And she was talking to me, and then she went to the little IV thing, and she just injected it, and I was like, oh cool, that's gonna make me calm down. She said, oh yeah, yeah, no problem, it's gonna make you calm down. And I was like, all right. And then here it is, like 15 minutes before surgery, they go to wheel this big bed out of a little room, and all the last thing I remember was I looked over, and it was this little girl in scrubs. I swear she was 16, but she was a nurse, and she was just chilling there on her phone. She was like, hi. And I was like, bye. And that was it. Like that was it. I was like, I didn't make it to the ER. I don't know what the color of the hall was. I didn't miss anything. For all I know, you could have taken me to the black market. I was like, mm-mm. She said I was gonna be awake for the OR. I didn't even make it there. I have no idea what the OR looks like because I was knocked out when that bed, my head went through that door. I was gone, and I was just like, wait a minute, what just happened? So after this, I wake up, and apparently I woke up at like 3:15. I had surgery at 9 o'clock, so this is like 6 hours later, right? So I woke up, and this is what was horrible because I woke up. And it wasn't like, oh, I just woke up. I was shaking uncontrollably. I couldn't see people. Like, I was just surrounded by doctors, and it was white figures and bright lights. And it was like white and bright and scary, and I was freaking out. And all I could keep hearing them was, sir, we need you to calm down. Please calm down, Dexter. It'll be okay. People trying to touch my legs. Not really like in the soft way. It was like the please don't kick us because I'm like literally like shaking and flailing and coughing. And I'm confused because I don't know what's going on. I'm thinking I'm about to die. And I look down at my chest and I see that the black vest was on that was post surgical. And I said, fine, cool. All right, awesome. So I just got out of surgery. Why am I so shaking? I don't, because I didn't know what was going on. I was like, my body was just, it was almost like I was having a seizure, but I was completely conscious and I was really confused. Um, but I don't remember who I was looking at. And so I kept coughing, and the only thought that was going in my mind was keep swallowing, but it was so much, and it was so like liquidy. I was just like, I don't want to cough into my hand because I swear if I cough in my hand and my eyes, and I open my eyes and it's blood, I'm gonna freak the fuck out. And I was just terrified that if I coughed and I let it come out, that I was gonna see blood and I was gonna die. And so I coughed and I coughed and I coughed, and they're like, let it out, and I did, and I coughed into my hand because they had given me something, and I looked and it was covered in blood. And I was like, oh my God, that was not a part of the plan. What is going on? And they were like, oh, yeah, we are kind of hoping that didn't happen. And I was just like, oh, my life right now. And eventually I calmed down. I was freaking out. I was like, ooh, my high school teacher told me to do that woo-saw stuff. I can't touch my ears for woo-saw. So I'm like, I'm going to breathe in, and I'm going to breathe out. I'm going to breathe in, I'm going to breathe out because I need some peace right now. And I'm going to cough the blood in my hand. And that's not really peaceful right now. And so then, they got me to calm down, and I'm freaking out, and they're putting all this stuff back up all over my body, and they're like, oh man, the oxygen level's low, oxygen level's low, and I'm like, bitch, that does not make me feel any better. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And my pulse was high. Blood pressure was fine though. So I don't know what that means, but my like heart rate was like in the 140s and climbing. My damn blood pressure, like my oxygen was in the 70s, and then the 80s and the 70s. They were like, is the problem. You all tachycardic or something like that. They're like, we need to fix this. And they're like, just deep breathing. I was like, you can go deep breathing, but if I'm bleeding out of my body, it's not gonna make me calm down. I don't know what makes you think. And we weren't going to the OR. We were going to the recovery room. I'm like, you taking me to recover with bloody lungs? You gonna have to explain this story to me. So I go in there. They didn't hook me up to the oxygen. They made me climb into the other bed. Like they made me like work my way over, and I was in pain, and I was so confused, and I was like, why am I in so much pain, and why am I here, and why am I coughing up blood, and what is going I was so confused. And so it's only funny now because it was so confusing then. My folks come in, they're looking at me, and I'm just like, "Ah." And they're just, my poor mom is just like, my child. My aunt is like, oh no, Riley and Aaron are in the corner just like, this is not how this was supposed to go. And they were like, you okay? Did they tell you? Do you remember anything? And I was like, no, I don't know what just happened. What in the world is going on? And they were like, well, the doctor came out at 12:30 because you finished at 12:30. And he was like, man, everything's going great. You guys should be able to go home. He left and came back 10 minutes later and was like, no, things kind of changed. And he might need to stay overnight. We're going to check him, keep sure we'll bring you back. Um, and then eventually he came back and he's like, no, I'm pretty sure he's staying overnight. And I was just like, in 10 minutes. And she's like, well, do you know what happened? I was like, no. No, I'm so confused. Why am I coughing up blood? I'm sitting here coughing, and it's coming up in these tissues. I'm freaking out, thinking I'm gonna cough up all my organs, and that I just wasted this time, and I'm gonna die in this bed. And they just left me here to die. And I was like, oh, they're gonna have to take me away. And I don't know what's going on. So they're like, you vomited, and I was like, excuse me? What did you just say to me? They're like, you vomited. And I was like, how can you vomit when you're in anesthesia? I thought all that stuff kind of calmed down. They're like, no, you vomited when you woke up. And I was like, oh no, I don't remember any of this. And like what happened was like they told me you woke up, you vomited, and then it got worse from there. And because I was intubated, when they tried to take the tube out, um, it affected everything. And this is how Dr. Zinser explained it. It's cutting a lot of time off this long ass story. Is that the saliva and everything drop down, and when it hits your vocal cords automatically clam up because they don't want anything inside of them, right? Which works most of the time. But when you're young, and in this case, I've had years of theater training, which has strengthened my diaphragm. The diaphragm was pulling down to protect the lungs. However, it pulled down a little too strong, and in the process, it was trying to protect the lungs so that they wouldn't get injured. Well, the backsplash of the vomit already was going into my lungs, but what happened was my lungs constricted and they sucked up the water in the tissue surrounding it. So all this, my lungs filled with water pretty much, which is a pneumonia essentially. So it was like, one of the later doctors in the night was like, aspiration pneumonia, it's gonna be a problem. So all the blood I was coughing up was the irritant because they had to they had to put tube back in to try and flush it out. I was in so much pain post-op because they had to drain all the pain medications out of my blood and give me Lasix, which are like water pills, to help me pee it out. I woke up with a catheter in me and I was like, the fuck? I thought we had discussed this. And they were like, trust me, you're gonna be peeing a long time to get all this blood out your lungs. And so they're pushing the water pills through me to get me to pee out as much of the water in my lungs as possible. So I woke up, and part of the reason my O2 levels were so low was because I couldn't actually expand my lungs and breathe. And so it's just like, there is just way too much going on. This was a simple procedure. What the fuck didn't happen? And they were just like, it's okay. You just breathe. You might be able to go, we're hoping you can go home tomorrow. I was like, mm-hmm. So eventually my folks left, and I'm sitting here, and I'm in this bed all miserable as hell, literally continually grabbing tissues. And I was getting used to the fact that I couldn't really get up to move, but I was sliding in my bed, but I couldn't pull myself back. It was really uncomfortable. So, I had nurses come in and coming out, and then they had this big old cup of water. It's in the refrigerator right now with ice. And they brought me ice chips, and I kept sucking on ice then and was trying to eat the chicken noodle soup. My aunt kept trying to feed it to me, and I just didn't want it right then. I was hungry, but I didn't want the soup, and I just couldn't figure out what was going on. So I would only eat the broth, and I didn't eat much. So I pretty much spent that whole night in like ice chips, water, and chicken broth, and it was kind of wasn't that great. I was peeing all night and I didn't even notice it. So I went through like four of them. And these were like gallon serving cups. So I was like, not really gallon, but I would say like a cup, like a liter or two, or like a liter and a half or something like that. I mean, they're a lot. No, what is it? Like 28 cups, I think. Yeah, it's like 28 cups in just one of these just cups of water. And so I was just like, that's a lot. But I couldn't stop. This is where I knew this got ridiculous because the reason I couldn't stop drinking was because the oxygen was drying out my face, but the damn nurse gave me that patch, which was creating such an excessive dry mouth that when I switched to beds, I literally my tongue got stuck to the tongue of my roof. My tongue got stuck to the roof of my mouth because I couldn't salivate. Like I actually could not create any salivation at all that night. So I was literally trying to drink because my throat was sore and I couldn't swallow, but I couldn't breathe and cough because I had like the instructions were to deep breathe and cough. They're like, we need you to deep breathe, we need you to cough. We need deep breathe and cough. And I was just like, what? And they didn't explain to me why until Dr. Zinzer finally explained to me why the coughing was important. But I couldn't breathe or deeply breathe for that matter if I couldn't move my mouth or taste anything or just get past the fact that like literally it was kind of like if you ever tried the saltine challenge. It's that. It's like all of the water was stuck out of my mouth. So I had to keep drinking the water. So keep drinking the water meant I had to keep peeing meant I had to keep the catheter in. Keeping the catheter in, which means I couldn't really actually move out of my bed and it was incredibly uncomfortable. So around 7 o'clock at night, I'm in so much pain. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. They didn't tell me that they had drained me at that point. I happened to overhear the conversation, so I asked the nurse really lightly, could I please have some pain medication? And I'm just wondering because I'm in a little bit of pain right now. And, she's like, well, what's the pain? I was like, I'll just say a 7 because I'm pretty sure if I say something worse, something bad might happen. And she's like, well, oh, they drained your blood of your pain med. They didn't give you anything else. I was like, I was script for Percocet, but my mom took the Percocet, she took it because I was supposed to go home, but I'm here. And she's just like, let me go get you some pills. And that started me on that. I took them at 7. I didn't take my next set of Percocet until 3 o'clock in the morning because I didn't know how long it was. And nobody came to ask me. So I was, again, in a lot of pain that later in the morning and sitting in the same spot. That entire night, I would only sleep for about 3 to 5 minutes. I would wake up, drink water, cough a lot of more blood and stuff. They'd come and take it away, look at the amount of urine, which was consistently being full, and then I go back to sleep. And I did this for like 6 hours. Like I would just literally just sleep, and I walk back up, and I drink the water. I'd be like, and I go back to sleep, like nonstop. And I'm thinking I was sleeping for all day, and it wasn't. The poor lady was getting annoyed though, because every time she had to empty it, she'd have to make 3 trips to empty it because I would consistently be filling it up. And I was like, oh dear. So I didn't actually sleep much. I get through this whole process. This was day one. That was my Friday to my Saturday. And we go through this whole crazy ridiculousness throughout the day Saturday, and they're doing all these damn tests. They're trying to do an x-ray, and they're like, do you have anything metal? I was like, yes, mother trucker, it's the vest. And like, can you take it off? I was like, oh hell no. After all this shit, I am not taking the damn vest off so you can take a damn x-ray because y'all done fucked up. It's not about to happen. So they're like, no. And they're like, well, what kind of voodoo vest is that? And I was like, it's a special kind of voodoo vest that's gonna make this shit look good and worth all this ridiculousness that I'm going through right now. Because this vest has clamps, a zipper, and Velcro. Like I ain't going nowhere. So I go through this entire crazy ass process. I didn't, Saturday night I was interrogated in the middle of the night by one of the nurses. She spent like an hour asking me random ass questions and bonding with me over her gay nephew. I was like, here we go. I had people asking me a bunch of questions about being trans and being all this stuff and genders and violence and love, and I was like, okay, this is exciting. I'm still suffering because I'm kind of annoyed that I'm still here. Eventually they took the catheter out because I was feeling really salty about that. I was sitting next to the window at one point. I'm Saturday. I got to sit next to the window, which was nice. I'm looking out the window, trying to figure what the fuck is going on. I felt some kind of way though, because the first time they made me sit up, I still had the oxygen tank on. They made me carry a little thing, and I'm looking like a crotchety old man. I ain't got no drawers on, so I'm still feeling some kind of way. And they're just like, and I'm sitting in this chair. I did not move out of that chair at all that day until they took the. I was like, "Are you taking this catheter out?" Like I would have refused to move because I did not want to have that catheter in me. I was like, "You don't understand. I cannot do this." And then they were like, "Okay." And I had to go lay in the bed like a giant ass baby and have her take the damn thing out. It was all awkward and shit. Dr. Zinzer appeared on Saturday looking all beboppy and bopping around. And I'm like, I'm about to punch him in the throat. I'm like, but I can't because he looks too adorable. Coming in like Pee Wee Herman. Like, he had the glasses on and the big old, like, freaking. I was confused. He walking in with all these like stripes and, hey, how you doing, buddy? I'm like, do you see how miserable I am right now, buddy? That's how I feel right now. Um, 3 liters of oxygen going down from 4 liters of oxygen. Little thing. I couldn't sleep because of the oxygen monitor shit kept beeping every 2 seconds. It was beeping with my pulse, and they kept trying to remind me to not be freaking out about my pulse. But when you keep telling me about my pulse, then I'm be freaking out about my pulse, and this shit was trying to beep like almost in time with this shit, and my pulse is in the 120s. So I was like, how the fuck do you expect me to sleep with this damn thing? And they were like, well, it's a hospital. You don't actually sleep in a hospital. I was like, don't tell me that. I come to the hospital to sleep. I'd have been here 3 times before, and trust me, I got sleep. Like, I feel some kind of way, guys. And so eventually he convinces them to take the catheter out, and I was peeing nonstop. It was a horrible thing. I got to the point, okay, I got to the point that between the pain medications and how low I was feeling, I was genuinely like concerned. See, like the pain meds was screwing up my brain. So when I was peeing, I got to the point like, when you're really tired and you're on medication that makes you kind of delusional. I was sitting here, I would be in the middle of a conversation with somebody and they would be talking to me and I would keep talking, but I was dreaming. So I was finishing their thought, but I'm starting talking about stuff in my dream and they're just looking at me like, I don't know what in the world is up with this child. And I was just all out of it. So when I got to the point I'm peeing, I realized that it wasn't like it would all just come out at once. Catheters kind of affect that, and they make you feel like you have to pee all the time. So I was convinced I had to pee all the time, and actually I was peeing almost all the time. So I would pee, but it would be like spurts, like 25 of these consistent spurts, and I was so annoyed because in order to get them out, you have to strain, and I was like, I'm trying to strain, y'all. I just got surgery done, y'all. I'm like, but for some reason it's okay that I cough even though I just got surgery done. What the fuck is going on? I felt so bad. So I'm in the damn bathroom confused, and for some reason, for a day and a half, I was honestly convinced I was peeing for other people. Like I'm not really sure how that was supposed to work, but every time I would go in the bathroom, I was like, like every time I was sitting there, I feel like 6 different people were peeing at different times through my body, and it was really confusing. And I was just like, I don't know. Y'all are screwing with my head right now. I'm so lost. So I didn't been all over the place. I had to keep asking that lady, is it okay for me to just put some underwear on? You won't understand. I'm gonna be flashing at people. She's like, on the 5th floor. I'm like, I don't care. I need underwear on. And so I was in the damn bathroom. I've been doing all these stripping type awkward dance moves to put my underwear up, my clothes on, because the damn shit itches and burns and hurts, and it was just been a show. It's been a show. And so every time my mom would ask me what was it like in the hospital, and I'm trying to explain it, like this really is like the actual description could take you an hour long if I had to truly go off on what this really was. But she was just like, Why is everything is so exciting for you? Nothing is just that simple. I was like, this is why people who are ridiculousness and that's what they are. They are ridiculousness and they want to hang out with me. I've been cutting people out of my life for a reason. I'm like, see, you look for crazy shit to happen, okay? The universe apparently just knows crazy shit's gonna happen to me just cause. Like every week something crazy shit happens to me. I have not had a week of non-crazy shit happen to me since probably I was a junior in high school. Like looking back on my damn whole fucking semester, every single week something fucking crazy happened. I got a phone call, I got an email, I got a text message, I had some ridiculousness on my hall, like too much. And then I come back in 2014, I end up in a damn hospital more because of craziness. And I was like, look now, mom, I have no clue. I was like, I don't know. And then it got more exciting once I figured out what is actually underneath my binder. That is the piece to resistance to the actual story because me being in the hospital was about the ridiculousness with the anesthesia, and then when they were getting ready to let me out, I'm trying to eat all this food, which was gross because I eat it with water, and I'm sitting here and I was getting all excited. I mean, the nice thing was I was as nice as possible. The nurses were really nice and patient. So every time I talked to them, I was like, thank you. But I think the funniest thing that they didn't know how to deal with me, because I mean, I was, they had to make me walk around. I had to breathe in this little thing to make a little ball go up, and I had to expand my lungs and all this other stuff, and I was peeing all the time, and I'm too short, so when you're short and the toilet seat's too tall, you have to sit on it, but you gotta like push yourself, so then the thing hits you in the leg and it cuts off the circulation and you feel horrible. This is my life, y'all. So the funniest thing for the nurses was that the nerves started waking up around day 2. Between the nerves and the medication, and I'm really sensitive to stuff like that, I was itching so bad, and I am still itching so bad, actually. Oh, yes. So I'm itching so bad that I would stop nurses. I would call them and I would page them. I would stop them just to scratch my back. And it wasn't like, oh, let me scratch and then they go away. No, 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 no. It was the full back. They were scratching all around. I would just be bending. I'd be like, I'm bouncing in time with the nurses scratching, and they thought I was the funniest, cutest, adorable, most pitiful thing in there because I was like, you don't understand how bad this stuff itches. Like, oh god. And so yeah, no. When I was eventually discharged, I was just like excited because I got to be in a little awkward wheelchair. That wasn't even like a really wheelchair. It was really just a chair, on wheels, not like a. It was weird. It was actually like a suntanning damn chair on wheels. It was weird. And so that whole damn day, I had, well, the black guy was trying so hard to get me. He was trying to get me to do a fucking MRI or some damn shit, and I'd already been technically discharged. I was like, oh, hell no, nigga. You are not gonna find one more reason to keep my ass up in here right now. I'd have been in here 3 days, and that was not the original fucking plan. I already had to get this bill. That's all I'm thinking about. I'm like, this hospital bill. Like, I was like, don't start with me right now. Okay, my insurance company is crazy. So I'm like, I don't. I'm like, but the things y'all are putting me through, I was like, look, man, look. And I was like, again, and this is all before I realized what is actually underneath my vest. So I was like, when I tell you what is underneath my vest, you will then understand that my life has been just a little bit too exciting recently. So I was just like, all right, and those were my hospital adventures. So I hope that if you do have the time to watch this, because I could not fully explain on Facebook. My mom was just like, you've been out of it, but you've been able to take pictures and put them on Facebook. I was like, I have no one to talk to. I was not about to turn that cable on because you know that's a bill. That cable bill is probably as expensive as my surgery. I was not about to turn that, but I'm like, who was I supposed to talk to? The nurses only come in to make me breathe and ask me questions about my genitals. I ain't had no one to talk to. 2 o'clock in the morning, you'd have been incredibly pissed had I called you, and I couldn't call you. I couldn't make out patient calls, and my phone was dying because I didn't have a charger until Saturday. So I was like, I don't know what you expected. I was up there in the bed just like, taking pictures. I was like, I got nothing else to do. I'm just, fuck, leave me alone. And so she was just like, I don't even know where to begin. I was like, this is my life. You thought I was kidding. I was like, I'm serious. Like, these things keep happening to me. And so if you needed something to laugh at, that I'm pretty sure as my top surgery experience will let you know. And for young men looking for their top surgery experience, I trust and believe you. Statistically speaking, I am an outlier, okay? I'm a statistically significant result. You probably will not encounter half of this ridiculousness when you go for your top surgeries, because my 2 friends, they didn't have theirs, and they said we went and we came out and no problems. You were just an oddball. So I was like, don't be afraid. Um, I just have luck like this. So that was my top surgery experience. The part 2 to this is actually going to be the what is actually going on underneath my vest experience, because That in itself, I think, is the most exciting and awkward part that I still really do feel some kind of way about. So stay tuned for part two. And if you don't want to watch all this, then that one will probably be shorter. Can't. So lost, so out of it, man.